So, yeah. So just a little bit about me. I've been a serial entrepreneur for the last 17 years. We were just talking about how I was missing some of the early education, but yet always creating and envisioning. And in 2006, I started a travel company before Airbnb. And in 2012, I sold it. I had like a very nice early success, and I became really hungry to do more and explore more. Later, I started an impact immigration company based out of San Francisco. And in early 2019, I completely burned out from that lifestyle. From home to office, from office to home, that lifestyle did not fulfill me at all. Does it fulfill you? Right. And so this is me on the paddleboard. I love surfing on the paddle. It's like a never-ending journey for balance. And after I burnt out, I moved to Costa Rica. I bought a piece of land there in a community where hey there, join us. Where I've learned what was missing in community life. I made my dream come true. Looking at this view, which by the way, this view is from YokoVillage South, and I was like, I need a community, because I realized that the community where I bought, there is not real community. So I called David. David at the time was finishing his PhD. He got funded by just got funded by YC, and he totally understood where I'm coming from. He's like, I'm gonna join you, and yeah. So
yeah, so this is me doing my PhD in environmental engineering, and then having cheesecake in Santa Teresa. It was funny the day that Liran ran the immigration company that I got my visas through for the US, and the day that Liran called me, it was what now is known as Orange Day, which was when there were massive wildfires on the West Coast, same as a few weeks ago in New York. And the whole sky in the Bay Area was filled with smoke. And the sun rises and it's bright orange. It's just like a surreal apocalyptic experience. I remember this day was the day we spoke, and Liran was like, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica, I want to build a community there in a different place, different lifestyle. And I was just like, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, I get it. This doesn't seem like a sustainable place to live. Yeah.
So, we want to share a little bit what's at the heart of YokoVillage, and it is really a new way of living, and maybe this has been in your hearts as well. But when it comes to me growing up in Tel Aviv, concepts like mortgage or living in the same neighborhood for the next 20 years or having my children bound into the same education system that I really haven't connected with or resonated with. Just doing the same thing as my parents didn't really make sense. So as I was finding it, a little hard to start a family in the city. Then later I came to the US, still didn't make that much sense. And so while this lifestyle is not for everyone, I have been questioning, and I think more of us are questioning, why do we need to do it the way it's been done so far? And so in the heart of YokoVillage, we dream of different types of freedoms. And today, we're going to share a little bit about our vision.
Yeah, so the vision is basically to create a community that feels aligned with our values, a community that we want to be part of and we want to spend a lot of time in the future with. So this is not a community we're building for someone else, this is our community. And what does that mean? It means people that are inspiring, that are interested, that are loving, caring for one another, and to live in harmony with nature and inspired by nature around us. And it comes at a time when remote work is on the rise. I think the pandemic has accelerated a pre-existing trend, which is work is becoming more flexible. More and more people are taking their lives into their own hands, whether it's I don't know, finding passive income sources, doing contracting, basically choosing how they want to live. But it doesn't come without challenges. So when I was during the pandemic in San Francisco, most of my friends left, went to Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Mexico, trying to fulfill the dream of living and working in a more beautiful, cheaper, more aligned place. And after a couple of months, almost all of them came back because they couldn't find a community that they connected with. And so this is kind of what this is about, and there's also research on this, that the #1 challenge for remote workers is loneliness. And so this is what we're trying to address, is basically, can we build a community that you feel very much part of and it feels very natural to you in a place that's beautiful and stunning and where you just objectively have a better life.
Yay. And so, awesome. And so, if any of you guys have like made a big change or a significant change in your life during or after the pandemic, raise your hand. Just to see. Awesome. So a lot of people have been already living in Costa Rica over the last decade, over 100,000 expats from the US. And I've made a slide that is like against the rules of slides, basically making it something like this. At least the 16 top reasons why we love Costa Rica. And so the last one is that it's just very easy to move there because anybody can do it. As soon as you have 60K, you deposit it in your bank account and then pay yourself a salary of 2,500 bucks. With that, you can get a residency. You can also get a residency if you invest in real estate or invest in anything in Costa Rica, not just for you, but for your whole family, including your parents. And it's just the country that has made a lot of sense to me. It almost feel like it's the last sane country, and who knows what will happen tomorrow, but the president really cares about the environment. More than 50% of this country is a forest. Just by being there, consuming electricity, 90+% of the electricity in Costa Rica is green. So just by being there, when you land there, you already get the feel of ease. Oh, I'm in this place, and I recommend you guys to try that. There is amazing access for healthcare, especially for those who are moving there. There are some of the best hospitals, including American private hospitals, where when I go there to do my checkups, I just feel like I'm on vacation, which is very different from the hospital experience I've had in such an advanced healthcare country like Israel, where I come from, where supposedly the technology is the best, but when you're actually in the hospital, it feels like you're about to die. The warm ocean life, the fact that we're never cold there, just means so much. There's so much more value you can do with your buck there. The sense, fewer rules. Like, there's no parking tickets, right? You can park your car anywhere, at least for now. More about this soon. And so our first location when we started is Santa Teresa. Santa Teresa is a place where you probably won't just fly there for the weekend, because there's always like an extra step, this 20-minute flight in this small plane where you see this beautiful view. You reach this like a little bit further away destination where you don't get the weekend tourists, but people that are coming for longer periods. Santa Teresa has a community of 72 nationalities, last time we checked. So there's people from all over the world. That makes the food really, really good, which is not easy to find all over Costa Rica. It's like a lot of really good restaurants and access to amazing organic food that's sourced locally in town, just like a few minutes from wherever you're going to live. And what I love about Santa Teresa, that there's no wildfires, there's no tornadoes, there's no hurricanes. It is a mecca for surfing and yoga, so whoever likes to surf, it's the most consistent surf that I've ever seen. It's literally every day throughout the whole year. And we don't get that much rain there, like in other parts in Costa Rica. Because when there's so much rain, you can be in paradise, but it's just raining all the time. Santa Teresa has September, October, really rainy months, and sometimes May and June can be rainy. Otherwise, you have anywhere between 8 and 10 months of actual season. This also makes the if you're having an Airbnb to rent out, makes it awesome. Kind of like, imagine a powder mountain ski resort, Powder Mountain, 365 days a year. People are always coming for the surf, and it's always growing. That's kind of always been my sense to it. And so we started the journey. In January 21, we have purchased the piece of mountain in where we call today YokoVillage North. This is about 5 minutes drive from the very best spot and the most beautiful beach in Santa Teresa. And then later we continued with a second acquisition because we realized that we actually want to preserve most of the place. We want to preserve the forest, and we want to build this retreat center and have places where we can have an event space and we can have wellness activities, and we just didn't have enough space. So we went through a second acquisition. We're going to talk about Sangha. It's a world-class retreat center, probably also the biggest retreat center that's going to be in Costa Rica. And later, as we sold out half of the project, we expanded to Yoko South, which is just at the entrance, about 2 minutes drive from the beach. And actually, later as we continued, we actually bought all this part, and we became the biggest developers in the area, or maybe one can say the biggest, almost the biggest. We're not sure about that. There are 51 families who saw into our vision and have bought a piece of land and allowing us essentially together to buy all this real estate. And today, these are the two projects. YokoVillage South, which is that colorful part. I call it the Jurassic Park. It's huge. This is about 130 hectares. So it's a few, together they're 350 acres. Yoko South is about 320. It has lots with incredible ocean views. There's big lots, there's smaller lots, and it's where 41 of the Yoko families are at. And then we have Yoko North, which is a smaller, more for families where you can walk from house to house. And it's the smaller project, also very beautiful, both in about 10 minutes drive from each other. Okay, so part of the success was that we took really big risks. And so when we bought Yoko North, I was telling you this before, I was sitting in this meditation after a week of fasting, and about a couple of weeks after the pandemic hit, and just kind of like imagining the mountain, but I didn't know who owns that land, and there was no access to it either. So the first people we started bringing there to see it, we would hike through this river and get lost in the jungle, and people are like, "Are you guys really doing this?" It almost looked ridiculous. So we built bridges and foundations to just get access, and this is actually the image of that bridge that first led to the development. We brought electricity, we're doing a water project, so we really started from scratch. We hired our own design team as sales started to come in, and it's been now 2.5 years that we've had kind of our own architecture firm, and we've designed the homes. It started with beautiful big horizontal homes. Later we realized, the environment needs smaller footprints, so we started developing vertical homes. And if you look at the website or you check out the brochure, you'll see all the designs that we've created. So we wanted to show you a quick video about the first 2 homes that we've built. There are 5 homes that we've built so far in Yoko, and 13 units for the hospitality. This video was taken about a month and a half or almost 2 months ago. These homes are actually now finished, but we haven't updated that part. So have a look. So, yes, these homes were in the category nested in the jungle. We kind of invented these new categories because we didn't really know what's the right way to do this, so we kind of like went with our own. Prime ocean view means when you can see 360 or you can see the surfers, so you can see the waves crashing, like a changing picture. Then we created the ocean view, we just see the blue. Mountain view, when you can see the mountains, and it's all green, but you're still up. And then there is the nested in the forest, which is this category. These are homes that are in the forest. We are now designing communal spaces. The community needs to have places to be. And so the first thing that we are is a co-working community. That's how we call ourselves, because it's all about community, but it's also about working. It's about being there and being able to continue with your life, with your work, with entrepreneurship. In YokoVillage, out of the 51 members, about 30 actually have one founder or serial founder. So it's mostly attracting entrepreneurs, or 11 doctors or PhDs like David. This is actually the most sophisticated building that has ever been planned in a jungle spot in Costa Rica. We're super proud of what it's going to be very soon. But we're building amenities like gym, swimming pool, yoga decks. We're planting an edible forest. There's going to be a little supermarket, children's playground, and our dream is to build a school, and we're going to talk about a little bit about our vision for education, because it's something that we're really passionate about. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so sustainability, or how we include the local community, is very important to us. We don't just want to plop into a foreign country and build our own thing. But from day one, we make a big effort to include the local community. So what does that mean? We give some of our profits back to the community in different ways, as donations to local organizations. We organize fundraisers for local NGOs. We do turtle rescues. We do beach cleanups. We hire locals to do river cleanups on a weekly basis. So all kinds of activities to really work with the locals. And the same goes for sustainability. So when you build a project like this, there's sort of different ways you can do this. There's the conventional, cheaper, more established way. So this is an example of whenever you build a structure like a road or a house in a mountainous region, you have a hill, and you need to retain the hill. So you need to make sure it doesn't slide down. There's no mudslide when it's raining along. So you need a retaining wall. And usually you would build a concrete wall that just holds it in place. And so in this case, whenever we can, we build nature-based solutions, which means instead of building a concrete wall, in this case, we plant 16,000 trees into the wall. They grow into the wall, and the roots hold the soil in place. So this is an example of whenever we can, we try and choose those methods where we use nature rather than just like concrete and steel. And this is just a quick snapshot of what that looks like.
En este proyecto vamos a utilizar alrededor de 42 especies distintas y un aproximado de 15.700 plantas y una especie de árboles nativos. Mi nombre es Eric, soy el encargado del desarrollo de proyectos. Hoy estamos en el día 1, toca lo que es la descarga, recibir materiales, logística de acomodo, las tomas de agua para el riego mientras los 15 días que está el material sin siembra, y básicamente es un día del inicio de un proyecto como este.
Yo soy Alberto Negrini, de la firma A+P, Arquitectura del Paisaje. Nosotros de paisaje, planificación ambiental y estos temas relacionados. La estrategia general de abordaje en este proyecto es, número 1, la restitución ecológica. Eso quiere decir que estamos intentando atraer fauna y también abejas y otros polinizadores. A partir de ahí tenemos una segunda estrategia, que es la estabilización de suelos, o sea, no recurrir a soluciones de ingeniería, muros estructurales o ciclopios, etcétera, sino esencialmente con plantas.
Vamos a iniciar a hacer la instalación de la primera estrategia de cultivo.
This was kind of like a snapshot. We actually took we did it in 3 different videos to show a little bit the efforts that we've done there. Essentially, instead of retention walls, planting little trees. And this is available on our website. What you guys saw there was Sangha, the retreat center, an earlier stage where there was actually nothing. It was a bean farm. We're now reforesting this bean farm as we're developing the...
And the same is also on the other projects. So South, which is the biggest, a lot of it was cut down by cattle farmers in the last few decades. And so basically we are reforesting most of it, right? So we identify all the trees, mark them, create maps, and basically build the houses and roads without cutting any down as much as possible, and reforest everything else that's still available to us.
So just a few words about Sangha. Sangha means community in Sanskrit. This is a completely 100% ecological project made out of glampings with wood that are sourced locally. We did a whole engineering project so that we can actually scale these units with wood instead of bringing steel into this property. Sangha is where all the wellness activities is going to happen. This is where we're going to have our own meditation center. This is where retreat hosts can come and rent the place, and we come in full support to offer the place for life-changing retreats. It's also a place where Yoko members can drop in into classes and different retreats and just enjoy the wellness, alternative medicine practices, yoga teachers trainings, and all kinds. It's going to hold up to 120 people. And this is kind of like the phase one of the project, which we're going to launch hopefully early next year. These 13 units here already are built, and these first 5 are actually now available. They're already hosting guests, and these are the units where we're all inviting you to stay whenever you guys want to make your way to Costa Rica. We're going to have an area there in the forest with massage, saunas, cold plunge, all the fun stuff. And then later, as we go inside to the forest with smaller, even more smaller units, so that we don't need to take out any trees or any vegetation. And right next to it, Yoko North. So we've designed these glamping units, and actually they went through a few iterations since we created these renders. And these are actually the real ones. These are the first 5 right now in the project. This is actually from a few months ago, so actually this area became a lot greener. There is a river that flows, so when you're there, it's quiet, you can hear nature. No bikes or cars or quads are allowed in the property, so it's always going to be quiet and host the serenity of nature. And whoa, what's this? Yoko, Netherlands. So this is even shocking to me when I see it that we've like reached to this place. So since we started Yoko, we've kind of like had this ongoing success with like just getting a lot of people to join in, and a lot of people talking about it. People are jealous. And then we've had all these offers for joint ventures. We want to start a Yoko. We've just in the Netherlands, it became to be because we felt that the partners there have the right experience in development, have their hearts in the right place for sustainability, and we just felt these were good partners. We are open to expand the brand. Doing something like this is in the hearts and minds of many people, and so we're opening the brand for partnerships in more places, and also probably the 3rd location is going to be probably in Costa Rica. And so in the Netherlands, we have and are designing tiny homes and smaller homes that takes about 3 months to build. This is in comparison to Costa Rica, where it takes about 12 months to build a single family home. So we've kind of like, we're proud of some of these designs. And so we want to invite you to become our neighbor. There's different investment opportunities in Yoko. We want to share just really quickly a little bit about those. So up until today, if you would want to be a member in Yoko, you would buy a piece of land, and then later you would build your house. We would probably build your house. We usually offer a contract to buy the land. You can become the owner of the land. and then we build it for you. Later, it's fully managed by us. You can Airbnb it and make amazing profits. Actually, it's the ROIs are really high. We'll talk about that. But today we actually have started all kinds of joint ventures with people who wanted to join in and just get to know us before they're putting the bigger investment. So then they are, right now, for example, there is a joint venture where Yoko created this SPV. We transferred the land as our investment. Then the investors would put in 50K or 100K, and together we're building the house. I think there's right now one that's still missing 150K, and then we started building house number 6. And so also if you're wanting to buy a land in Yoko, you don't actually need to go and pay the whole thing in cash. We do seller financing, so one can just put a deposit and pay the whole thing within 5 or 10 years. We build your home, and then you become a community member. Now there's slowly, we're starting to come out with new ideas of how people can join the community without actually building a home or buying land. So we want to invite you, by the way, thanks for keeping patience with me. Some questions are going to come and we're going to answer all of them soon. I want to invite you to a very special, almost like a micro festival event that we're curating in August 16th. And we want to show you, before we get into all this, a video about, that kind of entailed what was the first community event that we did in March. And also hopefully see you there, so have a look. And after that, we'll talk a little bit more about our stuff.
A lot of us want these freedoms.
Imagine living and working in paradise.
YokoVillage, it's not just another real estate project, it is a passion project.
That personal connection really built that sense of trust for us, and that's what allowed us to take that leap of faith.
Yoko brings in the community with just amazing people.
We want to think big, we want to dream big, and we want to impact big.
We are so excited to be in Santa Teresa, to be building our dream home, to be part of this community.
Feeling this energy that this place is something special.
Now Yoko feels like family.
Once the honeymoon phase of, oh my god, I'm on a beach and I'm working from my laptop is over, people tended to return. And the reason that I found was they couldn't find a community that they truly connected with.
Just reading about families in Costa Rica, there's really this kind of leading edge of alternative education that's growing a lot here.
Sometimes it's not here, sometimes it's all here. It's the embodied experience that can help you make better choices.
These are people that are wanting to build their own community, not build it for someone else, but be part of it and have this their future.
We created this from a lot of hard work. We came together and we bought the mountain.
Things that never happened before happen all the time.
So actually, we had no idea we love curating events so much when we did that one, and we're super excited about this one. This one we're having now around 15 speakers. We've got like founders that have had multiple exits, that have went through some transformation and have a special story to share. There are some incredible people that are changing the way villages develop, and with ecological, with eco-tech that we are there, like excited to show. A lot of really interesting people are going to come. We're super excited, so we're hoping you guys can make it to that. And so, to see if I can go back, because I haven't been going back. We wanted to share really quickly about kind of like, just to give you a ballpark so you guys know what this is. The cost of homes in Yoko is expensive. because these homes are big. These are usually 3,000-4,000 square feet homes, and sometimes more. And so there are 2, 3 bedroom, extended 4-bedroom homes, and also even now a 5-bedroom. That they range up between 500K and $1 million. Today there is already the first bank in Costa Rica because there is a lot of movement that is starting to give construction loans and financing. But you can also build a home for a lot less. So it really about designing something that's maybe smaller or up to your needs. Just the ones that we've designed have been really beautiful and big. There are these categories that I explained earlier: the ocean, the prime, the mountain, the jungle. This usually goes like many more developments in Latin America, or I don't know how it is here in the US. You can buy a piece of land that is in the earlier stages of the development. That means maybe there's still no water and electricity there. Maybe there's no title available, that you get that at half the price or even less. And then the ones that are already more developed, and when you actually buy from us the title. So we have titled lands and we have lands that are not titled yet, that are in the process. So it really depends when you come, and that kind of deters the price. You can get lands that you can share with other people, that you can build multiple homes, that you can make also a real estate deal for yourself, and make a lot of that. I'm going to be there to help you with that. And so I guess the dream today would be a big house with a big, beautiful ocean view. You know, that would be like $1 million. But ocean view is underrated. You can get lands at 150K. You can build on those lands, 2 homes. You can build these glamping units. These glamping units are 50, 100K, and they make some really awesome revenue. We wanted to share a little bit what was the average in Santa Teresa. This is during the pandemic, based on AirDNA and a bunch of homes that we've already built. So I've built 7 homes there before, since I moved there till today. And literally the prices per night are crazy. The occupancy rate are really high, higher than other places, and the returns have really been insane. This year it went down a little bit because some years are not as good as others, and that's normal. But overall, if you take the last 5 years of Santa Teresa and also seeing it now develop and attracting kind of like a richer crowd, we're foreseeing that probably next year or the year after, the prices are these. And so on the investment perspective, it's always good because, you know, who knows, maybe tomorrow, today we're one thing and tomorrow we're a different thing, right? So there is some really good returns depending if you're doing an ocean view or you're doing a land in the forest. Sometimes land in the forest can even bring you higher returns. Should I see if we do that slide out? Okay. And also, like with the joint ventures that we're doing, that we're now promoting, you guys can have a nice return, even if you're not ready to move there and you just want to be like, oh, I want to get started, see how these guys are doing, be part of the community, and get on the short list of the other events and retreats that we're doing just for the members. And we just actually published one, is we just rented this yacht in the Maldives, where the ones of us that like surfing are all going on October 4th. So there's the community is really starting to ramp up with these curated, incredible events and excursion. It's always on the wellness side. So we're like, we don't promote alcohol, we don't promote drugs, we promote wellness, we promote yoga, we promote surfing, we promote proximity to nature and work. So there's always some work time available. There's always good Wi-Fi, and there's always that like spot. Even if you come to YokoConnect, we have an area which is the co-working area where you guys can sit next to other people and work if that's what you need to do.
I mean, maybe just a quick note. So I was the first one to join in the very early days. One of the key things for me was I visited Santa Teresa, and I noticed that Santa Teresa is very up and coming, and it's very early in its development. So it was just that to me felt really important from an investments perspective, just by being there in a place that is really up and coming. At the same time, it's not Tulum, it's not Cancun, there's no weekend tourism, there's no party tourism. It feels a lot more intentional, but it is really an exciting place, and I encourage everyone to go and visit to understand the atmosphere and how fast it's also progressing and moving and developing.
Yeah, we had so many dirt roads, and now there's less because they're paving roads over there right now. And yeah, the proximity from the airport used to be 40 minutes. As of next month, it's 15 minutes because they just built a new airport really close by, and the whole road is paved. When I came to Santa Teresa in 2002, the first time, and I fell in love with it back then. This was literally 21 years ago. You could only go there with by driving, with the ferry, and then what today takes less than an hour if you do that with the ferry was almost 4 hours going this little bumpy road until you get there, and it literally felt like it's the end of the world. Today you still get that high frequency sensation of a place that's so magical, but it's so much easier to get there. So thank you guys for listening, and we'd love to engage in questions if you have any.
I got a softball question for you. What does Yoko mean?
Yoko means sunshine child, and it is for the sunshine child in us that is seeking for new beginnings and maybe change of paradigms. Yeah. And by the way, we almost called it YokoVillage in the beginning. Later we decided that's not a good name.
Any other questions?
Yes.
I was just curious how tourism trended, like how does tourism trending now in Costa Rica?
Yeah, so I think that Costa Rica, well, to me and to many, especially if you know Latin America, my travel company was all over South America back in the day, and it's just Costa Rica is really safe. The capital city is not the best spot, but if you take out San Jose, the country is safe. There are no homeless. The government really cares about foreign investments. I know that today really good because they've been making our lives harder, just to make sure that the foreign investors that are coming from outside are protected. Costa Rica is like this diamond of Latin America where there's safety, and they really care about the environment, so it's going to last. It's not going to become a concrete jungle. It's easier on tax perspective as well, and there's just a lot of freedom. So obviously there are challenges in building, new villages and infrastructure. That's always there, but overall, as a country, it feels very safe. That is attracting people that are into safety, because you go next door to Nicaragua. It's a beautiful, magical country, but it's sad. The people are not happy. It's really, really sad, actually. And if you go to Panama, which is a lot more developed, right? 0% tax. And I have some friends who started businesses there, and you need to go and ask permission. Can I start a pizzeria here, or can I start any business? You need to ask permission. There's mafia. In Costa Rica, you don't have any of that. So there's no mafia. There's no military. There is. When you see the police there, you smile at them and you feel good about it. And so it's really one of the only places in the world that one can feel like that. When you come, you'll get a feel. Even at the airport, that sensation is there. So it's really growing. And let's just say this, I came there first time in 2002. I came back in 2003. I later came back in 2007 and spent there a year and a half. I already wanted to live there back then, but I was just too young and needed to develop more before coming back. And I've seen this place growing all the time. When I came there first time, there was just like one place to stay where you would eat and stay, and there would be nothing. and every time it grew. The reason why it grows is because people are having this effect that when you come there, you just don't want to leave. So you find yourself extending the vacation, telling all your friends about it, and that's, I think, how it's grown. You had a question there as well?
Yes. You sort of mentioned it briefly, but I was curious about the property taxes and how that's treated if you're going to own land and maybe you're going to operate an income-producing property.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, unlike the U.S. and most developed countries in the world, the property tax is just a few hundreds of dollars a year. So it's you really don't have to. You don't need that much when you live there. There's a sensation you're always flip-flops. Now, what about taxes? Taxes when you taxes are overall high in Costa Rica. So you can once you're 200 grand and up, you're paying 30% tax. I'd say this, they haven't caught up on actually collecting taxes. So most of the country, people don't pay taxes. And it's very easy to avoid it as of today. Funny enough, Costa Rica is a poor country with rich people living on it. That's just how it is. When you have a vacation rental or a second home there, you don't have to pay any taxes there. You can actually just pay your taxes in the U.S. just as a second income. Some countries have a treaty, and it's you know I'm saying this on social media live here that like a lot of people what they do is they just avoid taxes. I don't support that, but it's just there's not too much regulation.
There's not an IRS.
They don't have the same IRS. Maybe one day they'll. I hope for them they'll catch up on it because they're really losing. But at the same time, this is part of the magic and the romanticism about it.
Maybe just one note. So the 30% tax rate is if you're a tax resident there, so you spend more than 6 months there, and the source of your income, so your personal income, is domestic. If the source of the income is foreign, you don't pay tax on that.
Just what's generated there.
Correct, for what's generated in the country.
And now they have a new law when if you wanna like, some people, mostly not in Yoko, but a lot of people that I know have kind of like did real estate deals, like flipping deals there. So actually, a couple of years ago they added so when you sell your house, you need to pay 15% tax on that. Overall pretty good. You pay 30%. You're supposed to pay by law 30% on your income. Yeah, but then I know very few people that actually do it. Yeah, any more questions? Anything? Now's the time.
So how does your membership work?
The membership. The 51 members have bought land, so became members with that. That's when you kind of go into our community app, and there's communication, there's some entrepreneurship going. One of the ladies that was talking in the video, she's a board of director in the Vipassana Foundation in Cuenca. So there's all kinds of initiatives with the members, but there is a new membership type that we're coming up nowadays, and we're gonna hopefully launch that. I'm actually happy to share that. For some people that are not ready to be part of the community and actually buy land, or you can get into this circle by getting into one of these JVs for a smaller check. There's going to be a new membership that we're going to launch for the curated events that we're doing to give you access to that. So we'll be sharing more info about that soon. That's going to be like a monthly membership.
So is the smaller check the 50K check for JV, or is it smaller than the 50K for JV?
It's 50K.
Okay.
It's 50K and up, and actually we did a couple of ones that really asked for to just put 25, and we said yes. But it is a formal thing.
And then that JV's building a house.
The JV is investors putting money for the construction, Yoko putting the title of the land in an SPV in a company, like an LLC, and then we all share the profits from the Airbnb, and then we sell it when the market peaks at the highest for the highest return. We're going to do another JV for people wanting to actually share the house at one point. This first JVs that we're doing are for kind of like investment, and then there's going to be different ones, and we're open for suggestions.
And just on membership also, so the idea with the global brand, and now we open a second village in the Netherlands, is also that you can house swap, right? So you can, I mean, our vision is that you can live seasonally as you like. You could be spending your summers in Netherlands and winters in Costa Rica, and maybe the rest in future locations as well. Yeah.
And I'd say this, the members are joining now this monthly meeting that we call the Global YokoVillage Collective, which is basically us connected with more kind of like entrepreneurs like us that are also having the same vision and living differently, like a new way of life. And there's more people like us around the world that are building YokoVillages right now. What we want to do is we want to open up the membership so that you can swap houses with already existing developments in Indonesia and Italy, in France, and just in anywhere actually. And that is something really awesome. Also, there is the education piece that I said we'll share about. That's really, really important. So right now we're working with a company called Boundless.life. I don't know if any of you heard about it. And hopefully that's going to be our main partner. So we are receiving this recipe of building a school and an education system that is based from the Finnish education system. Finland today is leading the world with education, and in our vision we see our independency as families being able to live a few months or a few years in one place and then going to another community in a different part of the world and having that same education system continuing. And so part of our development plan in Yoko South is to build a school for all ages, and that's something that we are seeing, that not just us but actually any development that's thinking about families and seeing this vision, which is just not just ours, is something that we all really need to have that extra freedom. And mostly what Yoko is, I think, is about is the extra freedom of life.
I'll just add some commentary. I did not know them before I just came here. I've actually lived in Austin for 20 years, and with COVID, I've lived in Costa Rica, 2 hours away from them for the last 2 years. It's been life-changing. It's been amazing. I'm actually was coming to a networking thing here tomorrow morning, and I just saw that this was going on tonight. Haven't been back in 6 months, but I had a family wedding, and I'm back just doing some work stuff, so I jumped over here. What these guys have said is spot on all, everything they've said and the answers. Like, I worked for a startup tech company in Austin and was completely burnt out, and then I was working from home. And this opportunity came where a friend called me and was like, hey, you want to come stay in our condo in Panama for 6 months, watch my cat for me? Like, my wife, and we have 2 kids. We're like, yeah, we actually do want to do that. So that was the plan, got everything ready. They ended up having a buyer come in and buying the condo like 30 days before we were about to go. But we watched the Zac Efron Down to Earth show on Netflix, and we're like, hey, Costa Rica looks cool. We've always thought about that. So we just flew into San Jose, no plans, got our house here on Airbnb, flew in there, just were at a hotel. Which way should we go, right? So we went to the Caribbean side, then we went up to a volcano. That was awesome. We almost just stayed there, but then we heard turtles were nesting over on the Pacific side where this is. So I'm like, I gotta see the turtles nesting. So we went over there, ended up finding, this awesome summer camp for our kids, this jungle school summer camp, and just so cool. So they got in. It was my busiest month with work and had a really good Wi-Fi signal, so we ended up laying roots just 2 hours north of them called Playa Samara. Like I said, I was completely burnt out, and it just changed my way of life, refreshed my batteries. I used to drink a lot of beer here and play a bunch of soccer and go to music shows and stuff like that. And I still like to do those things from time to time, but down there it's it's not about necessarily sports and politics. It's about living your best life. So I pretty much cut out alcohol altogether. Focused on wellness, like you guys said. I mean, even from a matter of still playing soccer down there, get to play with people from all over the country in South America and Central America. do like breathwork classes, do the ice baths for mental toughness there. Even my kids get into the ice baths for 30 seconds and stuff. Yeah, so it's been a really cool, like, just experience to go there. And my company here recently said, hey, you can't go to Costa Rica anymore. It means you back in the office 5 days a week. And I just said, sorry, my time is done here after 8 years. So just started my own company down there. It's always been a life goal. Like, I listened to Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week like a decade ago, and I was like, I got to figure that out one day. So, I made the big leap to, like, I wanted to live anywhere in the world and do what I wanted. And so now I've been able to find that place there, and it has been cool. Like, I was like, how am I gonna go run this business from the beach? It's like gonna be beach bums down there. But I work from home a few days from a week. I go to a co-working space a couple days from a week, and I met entrepreneurs from all over the world down there that have like created apps or have these tech companies, and so business is actually going really good from down there. I kind of do 3 months there, 2 months here, and back and forth. So I just kind of wanted to share our story. It's a different way of life. So I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we're just raising little beach bums, and they're like in the jungle and not necessarily exposed to some of the public school stuff and whatever that goes on here. So we've kind of made more of that our full-time home. Sold our house here in Austin, but we went back and forth for 2 years, and we're like, our grandparents are gonna hate us. Our parents are gonna hate us for moving the kids down there. But thankfully, like Southwest and American have opened flights, and you can be down there. I can leave at like 2 and be there at 7, so it's really not that bad. And like, for how much you guys came down from Dallas to see us in Austin, it's not really that big of a difference on how many times. It's been good for their retirement too, to get them out there and on the beach. So just want to share that story. Also, to see a responsible development going in is huge also, right? You do see some of these other towns, people go in and like level all this beautiful jungle and are just trying to build like an American suburb, right? And that's terrible to see, like in an area that has all these exotic birds, and we have daily monkeys visiting us in our backyard and a creek we can go down to. So definitely have to come out and check out your event. So I do applaud you for, building responsibly, and that's the beauty of it, right? It's like a whole different world down there that you can experience. So I had to laugh because I've been on trips to some of the towns, like up in Nasara. It's like Google Maps is showing me I'm on a highway, and I'm like on just a dirt road with all these potholes, and then I come to a river I have to cross. I'm like, are you sure this is a highway? So I recently got a 4-wheel drive car to make sure that I can get everywhere I want to go.
That's part of the 4-wheel drive is important in Costa Rica. It's something you have to have. I really connected also with, just like what you said about raising children there. And funny enough, in Santa Teresa, we've had also really crazy entrepreneurs. Jack Dorsey has been living there for the last 1.5 years. You would go buy something in the supermarket, you'll just see him next to you, like, buying some bananas. And there's been all these people that seeing that, to see this special place, and it's kind of like almost like a network effect. What I love about the way the development goes there is that it's not developed as condos. There's no big hotels. There's no big brand names. You have to do, most of the lots are agriculture, so by definition they're 1.2 acres. You're not allowed to cut the trees. So you need a big permit to be able to actually cut a tree. So even that there's a lot of development going on right now in Santa Teresa. You can feel like it's a village under development. It's still going to remain always green. And what we were making sure is we were, how we showed the map there of Yoko South becoming so big. We just, over there's cowland that we're going to reforest, but there's also tons of forest that we're not going to build anything. And we just wanted to have a big, really, really big space so that we can actually see that vision over the long run. And also have it be healthy and wealthy at the same time, because at the end of the day, size does matter. In Santa Teresa and almost anywhere. So what we wanted, we saw that when you're in this road, it's like a one road, right? And you got all these shops and people it's like a little bit crowded. And so that's not where it's at. A lot of people come and they go this road, But where it's actually is at the mountain. Most people come as tourists, don't get to even experience it because they just don't go up there. But that's where actually all the life happens, on the mountain. So you have the proximity, just in a few minutes you get to the hustle and bustle of the touristic town, but you actually have a whole community on the mountain. And then, you know, it's a fun fact about Costa Rica, you know, there's so much water in Costa Rica, right? But because there's so much water, the Costa Rican government never thought about actually, you know, doing any water projects. So they say water off the government is for the poor, so it's always on the main street. So if you are a gringo or you're a foreigner, you're coming to buy land there, by definition you're rich, so you gotta figure it out on your own. So the way the developments in Costa Rica in the Pacific have been happening is through a well system. So you dig your own well. When I came and I bought my property, I dug a well. Actually, I dug 2 wells. So you pay $200 per meter, and you go some. I went like, I don't know, 20 meters down. We realized that we're going to be punching 300 holes in the mountain. That doesn't seem so ecological. But we needed the size to be able to actually spend millions on a water project, and actually bring the water to the mountain to have an abundance of water. Now there's so much water, but there is a dry season. The dry season between kind of like end of December until the end of April. And a lot of the developments and the people that are living there today on the mountain, they need to buy water. So you see these water trucks coming in, they go up on the mountain and they deliver your water, and a few days later they come and they do it again. That's like not something we wanted to engage in, so we kind of like being the first development in the area that is actually, you know, we've made a private public like agreement with the ASADA, with the local